Don't forget to donate to the hashtag Daytona Dream 2019 GoFundMe for your chance in January to win one of these 3 Kevin Harvick diecast. Now enjoy the video. Under the lights at the Joltis Super Speedway, welcome everybody to qualifying for Division 1 of the Skittles Super Speedway Series as these drivers prepare for their 13th race of the season. And including this race, there will be only 3 regular season races left until the 8 drivers for Division 1 will be determined in this season's chase for the championship. Got some cars that are leaving pit road already. That's the 55 of Shane Lake. Coming off a very exciting race weekend last week for both divisions at Texas World Super Speedway, but putting our focus primarily here on Division 1. We now have ourselves 12 races in with a total of 10 different drivers. So at this point, it is very congested for the 8 playoff positions, and even more so congested for like the 6th, 7th, and 8th seed, which I'll talk about in just a moment. I think we're back at Toddring. They were going, what, 265 single car speed there. Shane Lake, the car we're following right now, coming down to begin his first lap. You can hear the engine. He's going 270 by himself, 271 going into turn 1. So I thought Toddring was going to be the track that had the fastest speeds we would see all season. Looks like I was wrong. So as Shane Lake gets ready to lay down the first official lap time of this session, right now coming into this race, it's the way your playoff grid would currently look. Obviously, your 2-time winners, Brady Burkhart and Ryan Butcher, they'd have the 1st and 2nd seeds. Trent Dunham would be 3rd, Sebastian Kukalon 4th, 5th Vance Caldwell, 6th would be Jessica Shelton, 7th Jose Mills, and Jay Jefferson, who took the checkered flag last week at Texas World, he right now would be in the 8th slot. Now, the interesting thing about that is that Shelton, Mills, and Jefferson are only separated by 9 points in the standings, so they could shuffle those positions quite a number of times during the course of this week's race. Drivers that are currently on the outside looking in that have a win. Derek Hamill is 25th in points. He is a total of 9 points behind Jefferson, who right now has the 8th seed. And Seth Cole is right now the only other driver with a win that would be eligible. He managed to move back into the top 30 in points after last week's race at Texas World. He's 29th in the standings, and he is 12 points behind Jay Jefferson coming into this race. So it is still really, really close for drivers to try and get themselves into playoff contention. And of course, here at Joltis, we could end up having our 11th different race winner, which will make the waters even muddier with only a handful of races remaining here in the regular season. A couple of things I'm going to point out here in this qualifying session, and I'll also mention them in the Division 2 qualifying session because some people watch the Division 1 since they're in Division 1, and others watch Division 2. They don't necessarily watch both. There is going to be a couple of changes during the playoffs this season that I meant to mention back during the Texas World races, and I failed to do so. Those changes are, first off, we will not have qualifying sessions for the playoff races. So once we complete the regular season, qualifying sessions like this will not be happening on Fridays. It will just be the Division 1 race on Saturday and the Division 2 race on Sunday. Second thing as well, if I didn't mention this before, I'm going to mention it now. The playoff races were originally supposed to be 10 playoff races. They are instead going to be only 5 playoff races for this season. So 10 races to get in, 5 races for the playoffs. And the way that it's going to be worked out in terms of how the playoffs will work, each race is going to be an elimination round for both divisions. So let's take for instance race 1, playoff race 1. The 2 bottom finishers for playoff drivers in each division will be eliminated. That will leave us with a total of 14 drivers. Race 2, the next lowest drivers in the finishing results will be eliminated. That will leave us with 12 heading into race 3. Same thing applies. That leaves us with 10 heading into race 4. And am I saying that right? I think I'm saying that right. And it should have us, after race 4, have us with 8 drivers remaining, 4 from each division, the top 4 from each division. So we will have 8 drivers that will battle for the championship at the season finale. Hopefully I explained that so it made sense. If I didn't, I guess you just have to wait till the playoffs start and you'll see how it goes down. Well, Shane Lake was the first car out. Right now, he is 11th on the speed charts. Fastest car on track with a 1:38.93 is the 73 of Joshua Sekuli. See if we can find him. See what pack he is with. There he is. It's with Zachary Taylor, Johnny Gardner, and Derek Hamill. Gardner right now 3rd on the charts. Hamill 8th. Taylor yet to jump into the top 10. He might here. Let's see. No, he does not. Whoa, almost some contact there between Hamill and Sekuli as Matt Haas currently is slotted into 2nd. Benjamin Miles in 4th. Carter Friesen, who we saw drafting with Shane Lake, he's in 5th. Zach Winkle, James Qualls, Jonathan Zorlin, William Duncan, and teammate Vance Caldwell. Right now, that is your top 10 with less than 4 minutes remaining. That's a good lap time, that 1:03 for Joshua Sekuli. That might be enough to get him into the next round. As soon as I say that, a couple more drivers have just hit the 1:3s. Matt Haas top of the board. Yepes up to 2nd. Miles up to 3rd. Winkle up to 4th. And those all jumped up around the same time. I think they're all in a pack together. Yeah, there's Yepes. Not too far back, there is Haas, Miles, and Winkle. You've got Tristan Folks, Riley Spurley-Tube here together in this group as well. Tristan Folks, of course, getting the pole last week at Texas World, so going for back-to-back pole positions. Derek Hamill has now fallen to the bubble spot in the 32. Matt Haas, 3rd car in this group. We'll see if he can beat his lap time, but I'm not certain he can. I would look here at the 38 of Riley Spurley-Tube, 29th fastest last time, but he's going to have a pretty good lap here, I would think. 16th is where he will jump to, as Roger Ray has now jumped up to 2nd place. Let's see what group he's with as Jack Mitchell comes to pit road. Roger Ray in the 68 is up here. It's with 2-time winner Ryan Butcher, Jake Rogers, and tail end of this pack, last week's winner, Jay Jefferson. Shane Lake has jumped up into the top 10. He's now up to 6th. Top of the board, Derek Hamill with a 7.22 in the 103. Zachary Taylor jumps up to 2nd with a 7.27. Sekuli jumped back up there. He's up to 4th. Gardner jumped back up to 6th. And now Shane Lake put back on the bubble spot. A minute 30 remaining in the session. Derek Hamill, former winner this season, moved up 7 spots in the standings from 32nd back up into the top 30 to 25th last week at Texas World. So a good race and good momentum, now trying to get what would be his first pole, I believe, of the season. That is indeed the case. This group's catching Eli Bright. Is anybody from this group going to jump up in the leaderboard? Doesn't look like anybody did. Thought maybe Ryan Butcher might, but he's only 13th fastest, and this last lap he just put down was 0.2 slower than his fastest. Sekuli back to the top. 1:03.670. Really fast lap time by him. And right now our top 10 stays just about the way it was a couple minutes ago. Shane Lake still holding on to that final spot. Let's find the 55. Was the first car to go out onto the racetrack. Oh, this is a big pack here. Ashlyn Boyd, Patrick Zick, Johnny Gardner now into this group as well. That's probably how Sekuli laid down the lap time he did. There's Shane Lake. Whoop. Not sure what I I was just focused on. Oh, I hit the wrong button. My apologies. See if Shane Lake can improve. Oh, he's going to pit road. Oh, he's still improved his lap time, though. Jumped up to 9th. That put Benjamin Miles now in the bubble spot. There's Miles. Hoping that a 1:03.831 is going to be enough to hang on and move on to the next round of qualifying. Vance Caldwell up to 7th in the 16. And I think that would have knocked out Shane Lake, but Shane Lake improved to 9th. That actually knocked out Carter Friesen with the 16 moving up into the top 10. I don't know if Miles is going to improve his lap time or not. Matt Haas and Zach Winkle didn't really seem very committed to him, and he does not. I think lap times are not being counted anymore, because I don't think that last lap was counted for the 25. So I think Benjamin Miles is going to make it in the final spot, joined by Lake, Yepes, Caldwell, Haas, Gardner, Roger Ray, Taylor, Hamill, and Sekuli. And I'm going to have to really look back through my notes because none of those names in particular jump out at me as a former pole sitter this season. Going to have to go back and look. But I'm pretty sure that the session is complete. So let me just, while we're waiting for the session to be official, let me just look and see if any of these drivers indeed do have a pole. Diego Yepes does not. Caldwell does not. Session is complete. So our top 10 are determined that will battle for the pole. I'm just going to quickly go down the list, though, just to see out of those drivers if any of them have gotten a pole. Shane Lake, he doesn't have a pole. Derek Hamill does not have a pole. Johnny Gardner doesn't have a pole. Roger Ray, he does not have a pole. Benjamin Miles doesn't have a pole. And Sekuli doesn't have a pole. Wow. What about Zachary Taylor? I don't think Taylor has a pole either. No, he does not. Matt Haas, does he have a pole? No, he doesn't. Wow. So I think, and this is, I think, a first for a number of weeks, we have 10 drivers who have not won a pole moving on to the next round. Normally we have at least 1 or 2 former pole sitters peppered in. We're guaranteed, absolutely guaranteed, we will go 25 for 25 in a different driver sitting on the pole here in the Skittles Super Speedway Series. How about that? Just missing out, Carter Friesen, and he missed out by 2 1/1000ths to Benjamin Miles. An 8.31 to an 8.33. So Friesen will start tomorrow night's race in 11th. Zach Winkle will be 12th. Andrew Miller will be 13th with last week's winner Jefferson 14th and Cody Smart cleaning the top 15. Rogers, Butcher, Kukalan, Plurd, Matthews. That'll be your top 20. Look on down here through the rest of the finishing results for this qualifying session. And not really anybody that I could see that's in terrible trouble. Jessica Shelton down there, 36th, but she came in the number 6 seed, 17th in the point standings. And again, it's a super speedway, so it's a track that can hold them 4 and 5 wide. So I wouldn't exactly say it's panic time for someone like Shelton starting that far towards the rear of the field, especially at a track as wide as Joltis. But who's it going to be that's going to get their first career pole of the season? Will it be Sekuli, Hamill, Taylor, Ray, Gardner, Haas, Caldwell, Yepes, Lake, or Miles? We're going to find out in just a moment. Round 2 of qualifying coming up. Don't go anywhere. All right, so for the first time in ages, we are absolutely 100% guaranteed that we are going to have a different pole sitter this season, as all 10 drivers that made it into round 2 have yet to sit on the inside of the front row this year. It looks like they're playing the waiting game. Nobody has yet gotten onto pit road. Now a couple of drivers have. Derek Hamill, Shane Lake. Can't tell. There's somebody else back behind them. Can't tell who that is. So we're going to wait and see who's going to be the first one out there. And of course, there's going to be really fast speeds here with single car qualifying for sure if these drivers don't manage to get a drafting partner. But if they do manage to get a drafting partner, no doubt about it, as we've seen all season long, the 2-car tandem, 3-car tandem, that's where you're going to find your pole sitter. So as we wait for someone to creep off of pit road, let's take a look and see where the 10 drivers that made it here into this second round come into this race in the point stands. And it will be Shane Lake, first one out. He was the first one out in round 1 as well. So coming into this race, the highest driver in the points that transferred into this round of qualifying, Matt Haas. He is 10th in the points coming into this race. Diego Yepes, he is 13th. Vance Caldwell, 15th. Shane Lake, 22nd. Derek Hamill in 25th. Zachary Taylor in 30th. Johnny Gardner in 32nd. Roger Ray had a terrible outing last week at Texas World. He's 34th in points coming to this race. Benjamin Miles down there at the bottom in 37th. And Joshua Sekuli currently 39th. See, look at drivers like Gardner, Ray, Miles, Sekuli. They could really benefit from some good starting track position in tomorrow night's race to win or at least get a good finish to be able to start climbing back up towards the top 30 in the point standings. I believe Roger Ray was the biggest loser in points last week, dropping 10 spots from 24th to 34th. So that's a driver that really could use a shot in the arm here this week at Joltis. We'll come back to Shane Lake in just a moment. Going to look and see if people leaving pit road, if they've left with anybody. Diego Yepes by himself. We saw Lake was by himself. Miles just now leaving pit road. Vance Caldwell, Johnny Gardner, they're in pretty close proximity to each other. So that could be a bid for the pole position. Matt Haas is by himself. Sekuli also by himself. Same for Roger Ray. Same for Derek Hamill. Same for Zachary Taylor. So I think right here is your battle for the pole between Gardner and Caldwell. Vance Caldwell trying to become the third driver this season to have a pole and a win. He already has a win this season. If he manages to get the pole position, he would join the likes of Jessica Shelton and William Brock as a driver to have a pole and a win so far this year. Caldwell top of the board, 104.182. A lot of that, the aid of the draft of the 7 of Johnny Gardner. You can see that got him 7/10 over Diego Yepes and Johnny Gardner, who are both in the 104.8s. But now Gardner behind Vance Caldwell. So now can Gardner have a shot to sit on the pole position? Roger Ray in as well with a 104.8, but a high 104.8. Matt Haas, Taylor, Hamill, Lake, Sekuli all with 105s. Still waiting on the 25 of Benjamin Miles to put down his lap time. Johnny Gardner steps out a little bit there through that corner. That might have been on purpose. Might have been trying to get just a little bit more distance between himself and Vance Caldwell to get a better run down the straightaway here to the start-finish line. Let's see what Gardner gets. I'm pretty sure he's going to go top of the board. He didn't. 2/10 off of Vance Caldwell. Caldwell at 104.182, and Gardner came in with a 104.332. So Caldwell had the benefit of the draft from further back on his lap time and has Gardner beat by 2/10. Now they did cross the line, and the time's about to expire, but I do believe they are going to be allowed to race back to the start-finish line. So Gardner's lap here will count. Nice lap time there for Benjamin Miles. He was one of the last drivers to come off of pit road. He's up to 5th. Highest of the drivers with 105 lap times, a 124. Well, if Gardner doesn't do something here on this lap, it's going to be Vance Caldwell on the pole. Gardner has to find 2/10 somewhere. Let's see if he's going to be able to do it. He has to beat a 104.182. His lap is going to be a 104.227. Not enough to beat Vance Caldwell. And so by benefit of how he came off of pit road behind Johnny Gardner, Vance Caldwell will become the third driver this season to have a pole and a win, as he will start on the inside of the front row for this weekend's race at Joltis. Johnny Gardner will be starting alongside of him in second place. Just a point of fact, too, kind of interesting. Gardner, when he ran that 227, he was the car in the draft. Caldwell was the car that was basically cutting the air for him, And Caldwell's lap time was faster. Caldwell, that last lap, ran a 104.199, so he was even then about 3 100ths faster than Johnny Gardner, and Johnny Gardner was the car that was in the draft. So Caldwell just had a car with raw speed, apparently, and they're not going to get back to be able to complete this lap, I don't think. 2, 1... Oh, they do. Just barely crossed the line before the session's complete. Lap time didn't count, but somehow they had it timed perfectly to get to the line right at the end of the session. But Vance Caldwell is going to sit on the pole position for the first time this season, and he will line up alongside of Johnny Gardner. It'll be Diego Yepes and Roger Ray in third and fourth, and the top 5 will be completed by Benjamin Miles, Haas, Taylor, Hamill, Lake, and Sekuli, who was the fastest in round 1, was the slowest in round 2. He will complete the top 10 for tomorrow night's starting grid. But we are 25 for 25 so far, and different drivers sitting on the pole. Will the streak extend to 26? We'll find out, because later on, Division 2 drivers will be taking here to Zen Joltis for their 2 rounds of qualifying. Hope you guys enjoyed this qualifying session. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. And we will see you guys tonight later on for the Division 2 qualifying. Tomorrow night, you will see these drivers in their 13th race of the season at Zen Joltis, and then Division 2 will have their 13th race on Sunday evening here to finish out the Zen Joltis race weekend. Till then, I've been Seth Cole, and you've been watching production of NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.